Hello Stampers, thanks for joining me. My name is Lori Staley, Addicted Stamper, and I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! For over 17 years. I thought today I would share with you this funfold Christmas card that I made for one of my Come Stamp Along With Me lives on my Facebook page. I do those every Sunday night at 8, and the ladies really enjoyed making this card, so I thought I would come and share it with you all today. We are using Cherish the Season, both the stamps and the dies. This is a bundle in the mini catalog. I believe it retails for $31.50, and you get both the stamp set and the dies for that price. So that's a great price for a bundle. I love the dies because we always get extras in our die sets, right? Of course, we have 2 of the dies to cut out 2 of our stamp sets. Whoops, let's move this out of the way for a second. And then you get some extras in there. You get some pine, and you get the great bells that we're going to use on our project today. So let me tuck that safely away so none of those dies go astray. I do have it on a magnetic card, but sometimes they like to have a mind of their own. I also, whether you can see that on camera or not, I'm not sure, but the background on the 2.5-inch shaded spruce circle is embossed with the 3D evergreen embossing folder. So I just laid it up here towards the top of the pine so I would get as many of the different heights as possible. All right, let me bring in the project pieces. We're starting the card with just a 4¼ by 11 piece of shaded spruce. We're gonna fold that in half and crease it with a bone folder. And we get that nice sharp crease. And then I am going to cut off from the front flap 1¼ inches. So I've got that lined up right at the 1¼ inch and just slice right through that. Lay that aside for a second. I also have some cherry cobbler that we're using on this project. And that's just a 4x4 square, as well as a piece of the Bell Designer Series paper from 'Tis the Season, which is also found in the current mini catalog. So we're going to mount those together. This Bell paper is 3¾ by 3¾ and I'm using my seal. You could absolutely use your Tombow liquid glue. I don't recommend tear and tape for the layering portions. You might want that for the arm, the motion portion, right? But I kind of reserve that for things that have motion or that I want to make sure never ever fall apart. And I can tell you this new seal is so much stronger than what our former snail was that it won't fall apart. So let's bring in our inside piece. We're going to add some pine on that with shaded spruce. Put that over here. We're going to come in with some cherry cobbler for our greeting. Cherry cobbler and shaded spruce is one of my favorite color combinations for the holidays. It just says Christmas to me, and I often, my newer stampers often ask me about picking colors when they're just starting out. What colors of cardstock should they get, etc. And I tell them to think about what's hanging in their closet. And I know that might sound odd when you're talking about creating scrapbook pages or cards, but what colors are hanging in your closet are typically the colors that you are drawn to. So if you have a lot of jewel tones in your closet, then you probably are going to be interested in our Regal collection. Or if you love pastels, you're going to be drawn to our Subtle collection. So keep that in mind if you're new and you're trying to get started and you don't want to invest in everything, although if you want to invest in everything, the best deal is, you know, become a demonstrator and get the discount. But that's how I guide people when they're starting out and trying to pick their colors. So we're going to put our little bell right over there. I'm going to put a glue dot on that one, but we're going to bring in the next size up for hanging from our pine here. I'm going to keep that little one for my card front. Okay. Now I'm not going to mount that yet because I want to bring in the arm. So here I have a 1.5 inch wide by 5 3/8 inch long piece of cherry cobbler. And then I have a 1 3/8 inch wide by 7 inch piece of Whisper White. And I'm going to bring that paper cutter back in here because we're going to score the 1 3/8 inch by 7 at 5 3/8. So I'm going to line that up at 5 3/8. Now the scoring blade is the lighter gray. So we want to push the darker gray out of the way so that we don't accidentally cut. All right, so I'm going to put this away now. I think I'm done with that. We're going to fold this over, and I'm using my fingers to just kind of make sure that it aligns perfectly because we don't want this to be crooked. Then our focal point on the front would be crooked. I'm going to lay that down, and I'm going to bring back in the cherry cobbler. This is one of my older pads. My newer pads are packed for my club. We're going to use the Merry Christmas out of the stamp set. Did you notice I almost stamped the inside greeting again? Yes. And I'm actually going to cheat a little bit here, and I'm going to lay my circle down about where it will be when we put it on so that I can get my spacing lined up the way I want it. That looks pretty good. All right, so let me throw that up there so I don't lay my hand down in it. I know you've all done that a time or two, right? And then I'm going to mount this to the cherry cobbler, right? So we get that real pretty border going around it, just like that. So I'm going to put my adhesive on the Whisper White. I want to set this down so that it's equally split, but that my fold will come over nicely. That seems to be working out well. Let's see how we did. Yes, perfect. Okay. Now I can bring this back in and I can mount this to the back, right? And apparently I have some red on my hands, but that's okay. We're going to cover that up. There's always a way. It's just an opportunity for creativity. There's never a boo-boo or a mistake, right? So we're going to put some seal on there. And then we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to lay that in there and make sure it's straight. There we go. All right, now I can mount this to the inside of my card. And don't worry that that little bit is sticking out, because remember, this has to go further across the card to get to the edge. And if we do end up with a little bit, but it's actually perfect. I was gonna say we could trim it, but it's actually perfect. Perfectly aligned on there. Now we're gonna bring in and do our focal point. So I have, oh, let me put this little bell. So I did put a glue dot on the back of the bell. I just took the bell to the glue dot on the roll, pressed it down, and picked it up. So we'll put our little bell right there. Now here are the two other bells that I die cut. And in both, oh, I've got shaded spruce on me. In both cases, we have popped out the extra pieces, the little berries and the holly. Because what we're gonna do to get this green and red is we're gonna take a piece of scrap white, and this literally came out of my scrap basket. And I know if you are a paper crafter, you've got one of those too. And if you're like me, it's overflowing. And we're gonna mount that on the back of the bell. I'm gonna grab a pair of my paper snips and I'm gonna trim that excess off right even with the edge of the bell. I don't wanna go any deeper. I don't wanna angle in towards the underside of the bell because I don't want to leave a gap, right? That holly leaf is so close to the edge that if I don't have that white the whole way over there, I won't be able to color it and turn the holly green. Then I'm gonna do the same thing on this one. And again, we're just gonna come back in Now this one's a little more forgiving because the holly's not quite as close to the edge of the bell, right? So you can work your way around there. And then I'm going to bring in my blends, my Stampin' Blends. Now I have to tell you that we have a lot of different coloring mechanisms or coloring tools that we use in Stampin' Up, but my favorite has got to be the blends because it's so easy to get a successfully colored image with these tools. I'm using the bullet tip. Of course, the Stampin' Blends have two tips, right? You get a brush tip on one end, and then you get the bullet tip. I keep my brush tip for really fine detail work, or if I have a broad area to color, and I try to protect that tip as much as possible. So I tend to go to my bullet tip first. But, you know, I really like that you can get a nice smooth coverage. There's no lines when you color with these. These are alcohol markers, if you don't know that. They are alcohol markers, and they work beautifully. So you can just color like I'm doing today, or you can actually use these in a very artistic manner and get beautiful shading on your stamped images that really make them pop right off the page. So they are, as I said, they are my favorite coloring mechanism. But today, I guess they're really tools, not mechanisms. But today we're using them just plain on coloring in our holly and our berries. And they're quick to use, and the ink dries very quickly because it's alcohol, right? So it evaporates very, very quickly. All right, we're going to mount the larger bell flat on. Now I'm careful not to get any adhesive where the cuts are into the bell, right? I don't want any adhesive showing through there. And this little one we're going to put on with some dimensionals as well. These are the minis. And I don't know about you, but I could not survive in my studio without my Take Your Pick tool. I love it for so many things. Matter of fact, I have 3 at different stations in my studio. And then I can grab them all, those little paper backings, and tuck them into the trash can. Because so often I see my cats running around with them on their noses and everywhere else. So there is our focal point. We're going to put this on our arm with dimensionals as well. I'm going to go to the large ones for that. And I am going to place them on the arm rather than the back of the circle. My reasoning for that is I want to make sure that I don't accidentally go beyond the width of the arm and tape my card closed. That would not be good, right? So I don't know why I didn't use the Take Your Pick for that, but that's okay. We got it off. And we're going to put that right there. And there you go. Quick and easy. The dies make it pop, especially with the silver foil, and then using those blends. So if you are new to Stampin' Up, I would be honored to help you on your stamping journey. You can find my website at addictedstamper.stampinup.net. And of course, my Facebook page is Lori Staley, Stampin' Up Demonstrator. If you're ready to place an order and you don't have another demonstrator, you're welcome to use my website, and there's my hostess code for the month. And if you need a catalog and you're not working with a current demonstrator, just let me know and I'd be happy to pop one in the mail to you. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please hit that subscribe button and then make sure you ring the bell so that you get notified when I go and put another video up. Hope you have a great day, and thanks so much for joining me. Bye.